July 1518. The city of Strasbourg is suffocating under a scorching sun. Out of nowhere, a woman named Frau Trophäa steps into the street and begins to dance. There is no festival, no music. She just dances and doesn't stop. Days pass. Frau Trophäa is still moving. Then, dozens of people join her in the streets. Soon, the crowd swells into the hundreds, but no one is smiling. The participants appear trapped in an involuntary rhythm, many of them weeping or screaming in distress. They continue for weeks. The physical toll is catastrophic. People are dancing on swollen, bleeding feet, pushing through severe bodily exhaustion. Eventually, their legs give out, and citizens begin collapsing directly into the dirt. Strasbourg's leaders watch this unfold in absolute panic. They are witnessing an epidemic that defies every known rule of biology and logic. This is a terrifying, unidentified contagion that has somehow hijacked the human body. And the authorities are left staring at hundreds of thrashing bodies, desperately trying to figure out what kind of pathogen could possibly cause this. The city's physicians rush to find an answer. Looking at the feverish, red-faced crowd, they settle on a logical medical diagnosis. The dancers are suffering from overheated blood. To cure overheated blood, doctors prescribed an active treatment: sweat it out. Authorities built wooden stages and hired professional musicians, but this encouragement acted like gasoline on a fire. Blaring music drew even more citizens into the hysterical, thrashing crowd. Forcing an already exhausted population to endure non-stop physical exertion yields lethal results. Dancers begin dying in the streets from severe dehydration, strokes, and acute heart failure. By applying a flawed medical framework to a psychological anomaly, the city authorities essentially engineered a mass casualty event out of an outbreak that might have otherwise burned itself out. Attempting to cure an unknown illness with the wrong treatment actively weaponizes the contagion against the very population it was meant to save. Centuries later, researchers proposed a biological suspect: ergot poisoning. Ergot is a dark fungus growing on damp rye stalks, containing chemical compounds similar to LSD. The problem is, while ergot poisoning does cause hallucinations, it also triggers uncoordinated, localized muscle spasms. It restricts blood flow. It cannot power days of sustained, organized, rhythmic dancing. The true culprit is a psychological phenomenon known as mass psychogenic illness, a powerful, highly contagious form of collective hysteria. Subjected to inescapable stress, a single mind fractures. Internal trauma manifests as involuntary symptoms ripping through the crowd. 1518 Strasbourg was a pressure cooker. Years of crop failures, starvation, and disease pushed the population to the edge of survival. Layered on top of that starvation was a deeply ingrained religious paranoia. The constant fear of demonic curses and divine punishment broke the citizens' collective grip on reality. In 1518, the mind became its own pathogen. The intense trauma of their environment simply turned the citizens' psychology against their bodies. Out of medical options, the authorities abandon science entirely. They shift to spiritual intervention, officially blaming the dancing on a localized religious curse brought down by Saint Vitus, the patron saint of dancers. The exhausted dancers are loaded into wagons and transported to isolated mountain shrines. There, priests perform intense, elaborate prayers designed to lift the divine punishment. And here is the bizarre twist. It works. The religious intervention acts as a massive psychological placebo. Because the victims genuinely believe in the curse of Saint Vitus, performing the ritual to break it allows their minds to finally snap out of the trance. The streets slowly empty. The dancing plague of 1518 serves as a terrifying historical record of what happens when collective despair entirely overrides biological control. The events in Strasbourg demonstrate that when trauma is shared across an entire community, the resulting behavior can shut down a city just as effectively as a biological plague.